Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things about the lottery process, about the project, about pre-approval, financing. There's a lot of questions usually about how it works, but hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions as we go along. So can we go to the next screen? Okay, here we are at the information session. This is 3 units, 2 3-bedrooms and 1 2-bedroom. And they were being built last time I went by. So we can talk more with Nick about the details on the actual units themselves. Thank you, Heather. So we'll talk about the units. We're going to talk about how to apply. And one of the things that's really important in the application process is that you speak to a lender and have a pre-approval before you start the process. We had recently had another lottery, and a lot of people started the application, even though we told them many times up front, pre-approval, 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 and then ended up not being able to get it pre-approval. So they had done a lot of work on the application. And so just start with the pre-approval. In terms of income eligibility in the application, I'm sure you have seen the income guidelines that we're using. Those are based on 80% of area median income based on household size. And those income limits are pretty strict. Sometimes people ask, I'm a little bit over, and then we find out they're really a lot over, but sometimes we don't know what our incomes are exactly or how someone else is going to look at them. So we want to make sure that you are using your gross income, and we consider all income from all sources. So you're going to look at the application and find some information about what is considered income and what is considered assets. That goes along with the application process and the lottery preferences. We're going to take in all of the applications. Sometimes there's a local preference if you live, work, or have children in the town in which the lottery is being held. Monitoring agents. Veronica is the monitoring agent on this call. So down the road after she will do a final eligibility check on the applications of the winners. And if you have a question down the road with what to do about refinancing or selling, then you would get in touch with Veronica. Our job is to do the initial lottery here. And then we have a couple mortgage people that are on the call, because there's always questions about financing. So we'll get to them at the end. And questions and answers, you can write them in the chat box, and hopefully we can get to answer them. So Nick, do you want to tell us a little bit about the project and how it's coming along and what you think for closing dates and all that stuff? You're muted, Nick. Did you hear me?
All right, I'm unmuted now.
Yes, you are. There
Okay.
you are. Welcome.
Thank you. So the first we've started the foundations. The first 2 buildings are in. We're framing starting Monday. All the underground work, it will be finished in 2 weeks, and we'll be paving the site. And where they're 1-story buildings, they should go quickly. So we're expecting in 90 days to have the first 4 to 6 units ready. The 2-bedroom affordable will probably be the first affordable unit that's ready, and then the 2 3-bedroom units will be ready. We made a change, I think, since we started. We're now at 1 3/4 baths. We took the half bath. It was 1 1/2 baths, I think, when we first sent the information in. And if it doesn't show it, Gail, we're now at 1 3/4 baths. So it's a full bath, and the half bath now has a shower in it.
Oh, that's excellent. We have floor plans in the presentation here.
Okay.
A little bit further back. So I'm not sure if I have your most updated ones, but that's great news.
And they're all electric. There's no gas in the area. So the units are all electric heat pumps, which include air conditioning. There's granite countertops, custom kitchens, wood floors. Or
In all the
they're
units?
going to be laminate floors. Yes, all the units, including the affordables, are going to be laminate flooring, granite countertops, and custom kitchens, meaning that they're not box kitchens that we buy. We have a cabinet shop in Brockton that's making them for each unit.
What color will they be?
And they have actually four choices. They have white, off-white, gray, or natural wood. The natural wood is an upgrade. You can have any one of the colors for the same price, and there's 3 door styles that they can have too, door and drawer front styles to select from. We have samples in the we have a trailer on site, a sales trailer.
Okay,
So we have samples of all the flooring, the countertops, the cabinets, the interior millwork in the trailer. So when the person is selected, we'll be able to walk them through the selections for the unit.
yeah. We'll probably, we'll have the first winner can choose their first unit. If it's one of the 3-bed, if it's a 3-bedroom, they can choose whichever one they want. And then the 2-bedroom person, as you said, will be first. So we'll know who the winners are. That's another thing we'll talk about is bedroom maximization as we go forward here. But when we have the winners, we should have time to have them meet with you.
Yes. Be happy to meet with them when the time comes.
So you think they're going to be done in July?
We think the first unit will be done in July.
And what about the other 2, you think?
We're hoping July, September, November.
Okay. So something to think about, you guys too, in this time frame is that when you get your mortgage pre-approval, you're going to have a rate lock for a certain number of days, and you want to just make sure that in the timing wise that we're keeping on top of that. And rates went up a little bit too. So hopefully when you go to get your pre-approval now, you can check on the fact that it's a condo and see what the new rate is and make sure that they add the HOA fee into the pricing for what you can afford. Can you tell us what the HOA fee will cover, Nick?
Well, it's going to cover the snow removal, the lawn maintenance, spring and fall cleanups, trash removal. Well, actually, the town is taking care of the trash removal. Common area insurance.
Yep.
And management fee.
And is this on an alternative sewer septic system?
It does. So there'll be a reserve. There'll be 2 reserves. One will be an operating reserve, and one will be a sewer reserve.
Okay.
Septic reserve.
And those fees are covered in the HOA fee.
Yes, there's actually, I'm sorry, there's a 3rd reserve, which is a replacement reserve for the roofs, the siding, the painting. It's going to be all vinyl siding. We still have not decided on whether the trim is going to be the corner boards and the rakes are going to be vinyl, or they're going to be the AZAC trim.
Mm-hmm.
If they're AZAC, then there will be some paint maintenance in 10 or 15 years on those.
Yeah.
And of course, there's power washing and those things, but we're estimating the useful life of the windows, the roof, the trim at 35 years. There's vinyl fencing, a lot of it in the project. We're estimating the useful life on that to be 20 years, I think.
Now, is there going to be a professional management company that?
Well, that's up to the residents. We're going to start off with the developer and myself, and we'll select the 3rd person as the 3 trustees. And then as the project finishes up, we'll transition to the residents.
And then the residents will take over.
They can either manage it themselves if there's somebody living there who's has some experience at it. If not, they can go out and hire a management company, and we can help them with that.
Okay. Well, it sounds fabulous. And now, what is the prices on the market rate units?
I was starting at $459.9 for, we only released 1 building at that price. And we're probably going to go up 10,000 a building. We're still having trouble, locking in our own prices because lumber keeps going up, and availability, appliances, if we can get them. We've
I've-
already bought the first 3 buildings, but, you know, we had to buy them in October to have them ready for now.
I hear it. I hear that. So have you started marketing the market rate units yet?
No, a week from Monday, we're gonna go on MLS, we're going live. Once we have something to show people and we get our site graded and looking much better. We're
Okay,
backfilling the underground electric right now, so
okay,
once it looks good and we can walk somebody into a building and they can see what it looks like,
right.
then we'll start marketing.
Okay, great. All right, good. And you're available. If anyone has questions, they can get in touch with me. I can call you.
Yep, anytime.
Yeah, we'll be able to get more info when we know who, who the winner is. Do you know what that pet policy is going to be?
I can't recite it off the top of my head, but there is going to be maximums on pets, but pets are allowed. It just, no commercial breeding, no reptiles, no large dogs, or those vicious dogs, the ones that usually
I
have
understand,
problems.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all in the condo docs, but
The,
I can't recite them from the top of my head right now.
certain dogs affect the condo insurance because there's like 10 breeds that are on the naughty
Yes.
list.
Yep.
Do you think there's a weight limit? Sometimes there's like 30
I-
pounds or 40 pounds. I don't
It's
know.
bigger than that. There's a size limit for sure, and there's a quantity limit.
Okay,
So like you can't have 20 cats, you might be limited to 2, I think.
right. All right, well, I will, if someone has a pet and wants to ask me specifically about that, they can get in touch and we'll tell them exactly what the
Right.
weight limit is.
And once the MLS goes up, there'll be the approved condo docs will be available for people to see. So,
Yeah, we might want to use those for people as a part of their pre-approval. I sent you a condo questionnaire as well that we want to have worked on at some point. As a part
at
of
some point, it's a little early right now. I
Yeah.
started working on it, and a lot of this stuff I just can't answer yet.
I understand.
I'll stay on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nick.
Okay, you set with me? Does anybody got questions for me?
Anybody have questions? About are the condo fees discounted was the question.
No. I'm sorry. Yes, they are slightly. For
The
2 bedrooms,
affordables?
not for. No, the affordables are going to pay the same price as the market rate, but we're not going to charge the 3-month reserve.
Okay,
So the market rates will pay a 3-month reserve to reserve the operating, to fund the operating reserve, but the affordables will not have to pay that.
but the condo fee is the same. All the 3 bedrooms are paying 220.
Yes.
Okay. That's good to know. Did we have another question about that? That was a good question. Okay, thank you, Nick. I mean, if I have more questions, or if you're not here and you've driven off, we'll call you or get in touch and get the answers.
Yeah, you can call me, and within 15, 20 minutes, I'll be at my destination, so I can get back on if you need me to.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining
Okay.
us.
All right, thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
having me. All right,
Bye.
bye. Bye, Veronica.
Okay. So they're all duplexes. There's 6 buildings with 2 units in each building, and they all look the same on the outside. So they're really pretty. You could probably take a drive by and see them, what they look like. So he said he changed it to that half bath to adding a shower in these floor plans. So that's good. This looks like they have a shower.
I was just gonna say, I think the stand-up shower is in there.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there's the floor plan. Nice to have everything all on one level. And they're all around 1,200 square feet. The 2-bedroom and the 3-bedroom. The location's really pretty. I went by, it's in like a nice residential neighborhood. Okay. That looks good. The units that are going to be, so he said the first unit that's going to be done would be unit 6A, which is a 2-bedroom. And then the other ones, I guess maybe September and November, unit 1A and unit 3A. So when we get a little closer, we'll know better. You know, which one or who's going to pick which one and who's going to end up where and all of that. So thanks. We can go to the next one. So we have 2 ways of applying. You can go to our website, which most people have been doing and applying online. It's a very easy fillable form, and then you upload the documents that you need, tax returns and pay stubs. You can scan them and upload them, and it's very easy. If you didn't have access to a computer and you wanted to print a copy, you can download it from the website and print it out yourself, and then fill it out, you know, by hand. Then you can either drop it off or email it, fax it, drop it off, lots of different options. Just let us know whatever we can do to help make it easier for you so that we can get your application. Now, the deadline says May 13th. And we just had a lottery, and in every lottery meeting, I say to people, pretend that it's 10 days earlier, like cross it out, make yourself a note, trick yourself. We got a whole bunch of applications on the last day again. Everybody waits to the last minute. And if you wait to the last minute, we don't have a chance to say, hey, wait a minute, there's extra people on this tax return, or your W-2 is missing, or it looks like you were self-employed, but we don't have information on your self-employment. Or a lot of people, as I said, filled out the application in the beginning and never got a pre-approval. And then the pre-approval takes more than one phone call in 5 minutes. So you want to get ahead of the game and make sure that you have that, because the type of pre-approval we're looking for is not the kind that they show on TV with the rocket mortgage people, and then they decide they like the house, and then they go out on the front lawn and they press a few buttons and woo, they're pre-approved. That's not the kind of pre-approval we're looking for. We want the mortgage broker to have looked at your tax returns and pay stubs, your credit score, and really know that you are solidly ready to go and in good shape to be able to get a mortgage. So that's what you do. So pre-approval, how many times am I going to say it? It's kind of monotonous, but it really is the absolute very first step. You need to have it before you apply. I know some people said, well, I'm going to get it next week, or they were almost ready, but that doesn't work. We have to have them in advance. And then there's a question of the documents that we need. There's a document checklist. If you don't, if they don't apply to you, you could just say NA so that we know that you didn't forget, but that it's not applicable to your particular case. Again, so submit your application early. The earlier, the better. So we have a chance to make you be eligible and get your application to be complete. When we get your documents, if we get them early, we have time to reach out to you and say, hey, we're missing this form or that form, or we need a verification, or we need a documentation of something else. So again, earlier is better. It says May 13th. Maybe trick yourself and say that it's May 3rd. And that way you'll be ahead of the game. These are the numbers that we're using for income limits. This is the maximum income. We want to make sure that your household does not earn more than this, and it's based on gross income. So the couple of different ways we look at your income, we look at your tax returns, we look at a verification of employment, we look at pay stubs, and we're trying to consider what is your current income today at the time that you apply. If you're going to be getting a raise in a month, we're kind of looking forward 12 months. We look back and we look at your tax returns too to see that you haven't owned a home in 3 years. There are some exceptions to that first-time buyer rule. If you're a displaced homemaker, if you're over 55, a couple of other ways to get around that, but you could give a call and check or read the documentation. There's a very long application. It has a lot of information in it explaining all of this type of stuff. So again, gross income. The asset limit is 75,000, and that would mean any cash that you could get your hands on. If you called up your retirement account of any type and said, hey, I want to cash out, I'm gonna close my door. I want to cash out my retirement account. How much can I get after penalties and fees? That would be the net cash value. So that amount plus whatever is in your savings account, checking account, stock, bonds, any cash money that you could get your hands on is the net cash value. And that asset limit is pretty strict. In the application, there's also something that talks about the income and assets as written by HUD, a more detailed explanation. So we just talked before about the displaced homemaker, single parent, being over 55, or if you owned a property that wasn't in compliance, like maybe a trailer or something like that. Those are the exceptions to the first-time buyer status. If you haven't owned a home in 3 years, you could be considered a first-time buyer. And the banks have these same rules. So they look at their first-time homebuyer loans, need to comply with the same information.
And Gail, you should mention about when we ask in the application if they've taken a first-time home buyers class, it's not required for the application, but it is often required for the pre-approval. And we just want to make sure people are aware of that. Just tracking.
Yeah. Yep, you will probably need to take a first-time buyer class, and they, the bank will want you to take one, and they fill up very quickly. So it's important to register as soon as possible. And you can go to our website at www.hackoncapecod.org and register. But since you're going to get a pre-approval before you're going to do anything else, make sure when you speak to your lender, which class, and is the class that's at Housing Assistance Corporation, which is a CHAPA approved first-time homebuyer class, is that the correct class that they need you to take? Because there might be some other options. So I don't even want to say it again. Obtain pre-approval. It's very important that you ask for a pre-approval for a deed restricted property, because FHA and VA loans do not accept the deed rider. So there's a number of different programs that different banks have. There's Mass Housing, there's MHP1, USDA has some different types of loans. There's a Home Ready. There's lots of different types of loans that are available. And we have a list in the application of lenders that are familiar with deed restricted properties. So you don't have to use them, but those would be good places to start. I suggest if you have a local bank, I would just start with your local bank. And once we get the applications in, which are going to come in way before May 13th, so we have them, we can be processing on a rolling basis. We're not doing it all at the last minute. We will figure out who we have that's eligible after we go through the applications, and we'll decide on a lottery date. And we will let you know the date and time. We will do it by Zoom. Everybody can watch and see how it goes. And after we have the winners, we will send them to the monitoring agent, and that's Veronica. So she'll look them over and make sure that the people are still in fact eligible and ready to go. Then the next thing is we sign a purchase and sales agreement, and we get that to the bank. Then we get a mortgage commitment, and then we get ready to have a closing. So that's how that works. Household size and composition is really important to understand in the lottery process. After we pull all the numbers, we rank the listings and we rank them from largest to smallest. So bedroom maximization is not necessarily household composition. It's kind of confusing, but a couple and one child would maximize 2 bedrooms because couples are expected to be a couple and that they would share. So a single person and a couple in a relationship both maximize 1 bedroom. And then you have children can share rooms. There's not rules on that. We do have to keep track of septic systems and rules and how many people can live in a particular property. But 1 adult and 2 children would maximize 3 bedrooms. A couple and 1 child would maximize 2 bedrooms. So that's really important to know the difference, that couples share, and then we add on the same way as a household of 6 could be 4 children and a set of parents, they would maximize 3 bedrooms as well. So when we go through the list, the people that maximize the 3 bedrooms have priority over people that maximize 2 bedrooms, and they have priority over someone that maximizes 1 bedroom. Same with the 2 bedrooms. So if you're a single person and it's a 3-bedroom property, it is possible, but if we didn't have anybody that maximized 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. But I've had many times in lotteries that we haven't had a full subscription of lottery applicants, and single people have ended up getting a 2-bedroom or 1 bedroom. We just never know who's going to apply and who's going to be eligible. So that's an important thing. Does anybody have questions on that?
Sorry about that, Gail, I jumped the gun.
Huh?
I said, sorry, I jumped the gun before you asked the question.
That's okay.
So did you see Kim had the question about, I think Kim's question popped up when you were talking about the exception for a first-time homebuyers class.
Yes.
And they want to know about the single parent. Does a college student age 18 count?
We count the income of everybody over 18 unless they're a full-time student. If they're a full-time student and they work in the summer, we give them an income of about $500 is all we count for them if they are a full-time student.
And would their child count if would they count as taking up a room?
Yes.
That's another part of the question.
Yes.
Kim, let us know if we didn't cover your question correctly, if you were asking about first-time home buyer and all that stuff. So go ahead and fill it in. Oh, no, she got it. Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So NeighborWorks Housing Solution, Veronica is on this call and they're the monitoring agent. So as I said, they're going to look over the eligibility and they will be in charge going forward, looking at they're not going to check your income again. They just kind of look and make sure that you're still living there as your primary residence, and you get in touch with them if you need to refinance, or if you have a problem with paying your mortgage and maybe need some foreclosure help, or you need permission for capital improvements. You would get in touch with the monitoring agent and you'll know who they are. They'll be written into your affordable housing deed rider, which will be recorded with your deed at the closing. Anything you want to say about that, Veronica, about the yearly monitoring?
So no, you said it all, but one thing I would say is once you close, you should have a file where you keep your affordable deed rider, because Gail, you and I see this all the time. People say, I can't find my deed rider, therefore I didn't know I needed to do whatever it says, but it's really important to know it. You'll be so excited about closing, you won't probably read it all, but think about it this way. If you decide to refinance or you need to do capital improvements or there's a question, you want to go get to that deed rider, so you want to keep it somewhere that you can get to it very quickly.
Yeah. And maybe, and I mean, people don't even really read it. We try and have disclosures and we try and explain as best we can, but it would be really good to really understand it and read it and ask questions. And I'm happy to supply the deed rider that'll be used on this property if your mortgage person wants to see it, or if you'd like to read it yourself. So just send us an email and we'll send you a copy of the blank deed rider to review. Okay.
There's a quick question, if you guys could just explain what a deed rider is.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
The deed rider is a set of rules that goes with the affordable housing property, which means that you need to live in it as your primary residence. You can't rent it, and you're buying it at a discount, and you'll be selling it at a discount. So there's a calculation that limits what you can sell the property for based on income as time goes on. So even if the real estate values went crazy, which they already have, but if everyone in the neighborhood was selling their house for $1 million, your property would be limited based on what someone earning 80% of area median income could afford. Just like you're within an income guideline that you need to be in, when you go to sell it, the income numbers will be different, but it's still going to be the same. It still has to stay affordable in perpetuity, and it will stay, the deed rider will stay on the property forever. This deed restriction, it's a resale restriction. And we can talk more about that, but basically you can't rent it. It's your primary residence. And if you want to refinance, you need to ask for permission, because we wouldn't want someone to not get permission and then refinance their house for $1 million because somebody didn't notice that the deed rider was there, and then we really have a big problem. So that's why the monitoring agents just oversee to make sure that you're getting a good interest rate, and that it's going to be helpful, that you're going to be getting a better rate or a better term, and it's going to be a good thing. It's not hard to get permission to refinance. We just have to ask for permission, and it's for your own protection. Thank you. So now we have more questions. Anybody? You can call anytime, ask your questions. Sometimes people don't want to ask a question in a group like this because it's personal. I'm getting divorced, or I might be getting married, or I might be pregnant, different questions. Please feel free to just give a call. You can email at ccre@hackoncapecod.org. You can call me at the main number for HACK. And I'm happy to answer your questions before you, get started on the application if you think maybe you're not eligible. Sometimes I like to say, sometimes people disqualify themselves before asking the questions. They think they might make too much, or they think they might not make enough. So ask the questions, and don't eliminate yourself until we've answered the questions, because we want to try to help everybody to be eligible. We have a question here that says, how do you go about getting a pre-approval? Is there a minimum amount and a credit score? And so this is a perfect time for me to introduce our mortgage people that are on the call. I think we're ready for that. Is that the next slide, Heather?
I think we had just had it wrapped up in the Q&A. So if Eleanor or anyone else,
And
Charlotte's on as well.
Green is here from
Hi,
the
Charlotte.
Composit. Is anybody else here? We invited a bunch of mortgage people, but I'm not sure if anyone else ended up coming. So Eleanor and Charlotte are both people that are very familiar with the deed restricted properties and the process. So this is really important. So I think that it would be great to be able to ask them some questions.
I heard a question about a minimum credit score.
Yeah.
For our best rates right now, I would say a 640 is a good minimum credit score. I know, like, we're running a purchase special that when these houses come available, I'm not sure it would still be available, but right now it's a 640 minimum. Otherwise, we can finance down to a 620 minimum credit score.
Is that for a mass housing loan?
That would be for something we'd be holding in our portfolio.
Oh, that's
so
great.
We have our own portfolio products for this type of this home. We like to make sure we're servicing it and holding on to it, because there are a lot of variables, like you said, Gail, like in the terms of a refinance or if you were to sell. So it just helps us
and a lot of people
manage it.
Have a little bit of a lower credit score. Maybe they have a 620 and they can get a pre-approval, but it's for an FHA because their standards are a little looser. But unfortunately, the deed restriction is in conflict with the VA and FHA. So we want to use the products that you have at the Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, or Eleanor at First Citizens. Eleanor, what is your minimum credit score?
Our minimum credit score is 640. It's a 3% down payment. It's with Mass Housing Partnership 1, and it is 3% down payment, no mortgage insurance, and they do not give you they give you a discounted rate. Right now, the rates are probably in the fives, and I think it's 4.45. And what's nice is you do not have private mortgage insurance. I'm not too sure about Charlotte's program.
So our program would be a 5% down. Our purchase special right now is 3.5% on a 30-year fixed rate. You would have mortgage insurance, but when you have sufficient equity, it is something that you can cancel. So it's an extra savings down the line.
Right. Yeah,
There was
that's,
a question that came in about rates. I know that our rates are kind of fluctuating, you have to kind of pin them, but if you could explain a little bit about that, Charlotte.
Rates are subject to change on a daily basis. So I wouldn't make any decisions today based on rate or hope that these rates would still be available in July and September. We've been in an extremely, extremely volatile rate market this year. Eleanor's nodding her head, unprecedented changes in the market this year. So the rates they're important to be competitive, but not the end all be all, and not something that if you're hearing a number today, it might not be available tomorrow.
And one
So very
person,
non-answer answer.
well,
Thank
in the last round, sorry, Charlotte, someone said to me, they negated to tell me that they had a bankruptcy less than 4 years. And she said, well, FHA can do it. So what's we want 4 years from the discharge date. What's yours?
We could look at some extenuating circumstances for a shorter time frame, but we would really need to look at the full profile to make a determination there. We recently closed a purchase loan for someone who was just shortly, I think she was between the 2 and 3 year mark. And she had a divorce, and it was really, messy. These things often end in like bankruptcy, foreclosure proceedings. So with the correct documentation, we were able to work with a shorter time frame due to the extenuating circumstance.
okay.
That's great, Kale. I have a couple questions coming in for you.
Yeah.
One is, someone took the home buyers class years ago with Hack. Do they still need to take a new one? They won't.
Yes, they would. Their lender would tell them that they need to take a new one. Is it, Charlotte and Eleanor, is it 2 years? You want it within 2 years?
Typically,
First-time
there are some free classes online. Fannie Mae does a home ready class that
Yeah.
it's a low cost. You can take it online, because I know your first time home buyer classes do fill up. They're so popular. So much value add there.
Yes.
But you can also go to chapa.org to see if there are other classes, because most of them are on Zoom. So it's not necessarily if you're going on the North Shore, if it fits your schedule. I just had a closing last month that she got the final certificate 5 days prior to closing. So, and it is within 2 years.
So the first time home buyer requirement is the lender requirement, and it needs to be done and completed prior to closing. So you can apply, you can get a pre-approval. Just know that you're going to need to take a first-time homebuyer class. And our program, regardless of the financing program, requires 3% down under this, the lottery programs. That's sort of under the state guidelines for lotteries, 3% down. But you can have, of that 3%, 1.5% could be a gift. But you do have to have 1.5% of your own money in your own bank account. So for a total of 3%. And we count gifts towards the asset limit too, if it's money that you have.
There is a question, could someone make a larger down payment to get under the asset limitation?
The asset limit, you can have up to $75,000 in assets. So if somebody had 24,000 of their own, and someone else gave them 50,000, they'd have 74,000. They could do that. So as long as you don't have as long as you don't have more than 75,000, all money in checking, savings, retirement. But yes, you could get a down payment.
Gail, can I just ask a quick question? Is
Yeah.
that at time of approval for the lottery, or is it time of closing for the loan? Because I think the question is asking if someone could, like, let's say they had 80,000, throw a little bit more money towards that down payment to stay within the 75,000 limit?
They would be, we look at the way that the assets are calculated through the HUD program is the strict guidelines or HUD is that it would be a disposition of assets within 2 years.
Okay,
So if they had $75,000 last week, or they had $90,000 last week and now they have 75,000, technically we would look at that and say, wait a minute, what happened? And
what
maybe-
happened to that money? Because people might be hiding it, and that's probably why they have the 2-year look back, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not that anyone on this call would do that.
no, it's
Um,
not, most people don't have 75,000. We don't have too much trouble with that.
Another great question, Gail, that came in is how is income determined if the divorce agreement has not been reached?
It's difficult to do, and we have some of those that we're working on now too in our current lottery. And so how do we know if you're going to get child support? How do we know what your income is going to be? Right now, if you are still technically married and have no documentation of any type of separation agreement, we would consider that you were still that household because you're still married. So that person's income and assets are your, if you're getting divorced, it all counts together unless we have some sort of documentation of separation agreement. Does that make sense? Do you agree, Charlotte and Eleanor, if they're still married and still? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's important for us to determine what your income really is. And we don't know if it's up in the air, if you're going to have child support or if you've sold the house and you're going to get a big payment of 150,000, that would put you over asset. So I think that's a tricky thing if it's not determined yet.
So I think we're caught up with all the questions. I'm not sure if I missed anybody's. Please feel free to put it back in the chat because we have a few more minutes left. But if Gail has anything else to add, I think covered a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. Another question just came in. For filing taxes single for 2 years, the divorce has been filed. Temporary orders are in place. So that's the current situation.
What do the mortgage people say about that?
I would be deferring to those temporary orders. We'd be reviewing those to see what the terms were.
And definitely feel free to, you can see Gail's number down at the bottom or her email. Feel free to reach out to her. She can get on the phone with you and talk it through. She can also, you can see the lender list and she can connect you with some lenders too. So if you want to have a full conversation and kind of get through into those details on the temporary orders and everything, I think would be helpful.
We look at it and see, we're just really trying to figure out what the income is. There's not anything tricky about it. It's just how do we know what it really is? And if you have temporary orders and the divorce has been filed and you've been filing taxes on your own and that person your spouse doesn't live with you anymore. I mean, I think there's some common sense involved in it too, that we can just try and look and really try and figure out what your income really is. The guidelines are determined, pre-approval is determined by the lender, and we look at them a little bit differently. Like we consider all sources of income, whereas the lenders at this point are not counting unemployment, but we do. So we look at it a little bit differently, a little bit the same. That's why the pre-approval comes first, because they might have looked at it differently under their federal banking guidelines. We look at all income from all sources. If you had deposits in your bank account of $250 every Friday, and then we would question that and say, hey, is this another job? What's going on? Is this additional income? And the bank will probably do the same.
But Gail, if you have a landscaper that gets laid off every year and you've worked at your job the last 2 years, we will count unemployment income because it's reoccurring within your job position. So we do have a lot of those on the gate.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we count it, even though and it was weird with COVID too, where some people weren't counting the COVID unemployment or the 300 a week or the 600 a week. It was just, so that's why we have a little bit different ways of looking at it, but we're pretty much all on the same page. Daryl asked if there's a minimum level of income. Well, there's a minimum level of income in order to afford the mortgage payment. So we don't like you to spend more than 30% of your income on housing. That can be stretched to maybe 35%. So you have to just talk to the lender and see what your debt is and how much money you have left over for a mortgage payment. And there is a minimum level, but it's different for everybody.
And also while you're going through this process, don't buy additional cars or, furniture, because that may disqualify you debt to income wise. So it's always the ability to repay back the mortgage.
Yes, co-signing debt for others as well. Student loans, car loans, anything like that, job changes can really throw a wrench in things. And, like Eleanor said, like running up those credit card bills, keep steady with your payments and stay boring, as I say to people.
I tell
Once you've
people,
got
I'm
your
like,
pre-approval
don't-
in
I
place.
like that.
don't even buy a pack of gum. Nothing. You can pay cash, but on your credit cards, just stay boring, keep it clean. Don't change anything
Mm.
once you're
Even if
approved.
even if they say you don't have to pay anything for a year, don't even.
Yes, and
All those
10% off
things.
is not worth jeopardizing your home.
Mm-mm.
No, because the 0%, they still calculate a payment every month.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't pay it off by the end of the 12 months, they calculate interest back to day one.
So no furniture till after the closing.
No fitting Jordan furniture at all.
And the cars or the car payments. Wow. Those are a killer. Now, how do you guys consider student loans? I get asked that question a lot.
Since they're in forbearance, we use 1% of the balance as a payment unless you can show in the past that you were deferred income wise to show what your payment would have been.
We follow the same. Sometimes if we can document your fully amortized payment, that's a little bit cheaper, but usually what we've been seeing is that 1% is the best way to qualify people at the 0%.
Even if
Sorry,
it's
the
in
zero payments due to the COVID forbearance.
even if it's in forbearance.
Yes, because there will eventually be a payment due, and we want to make sure that that wouldn't jeopardize the ability to repay the mortgage.
Someone asked, what would the maximum monthly payment be? And I know that would matter how much you put down, but what do you guys think if someone put down 3% and they were financing like 200,000, I mean, 260?
Eleanor, do you have a mortgage calculator in front of you? Because I do not.
I do. So what was the loan amount, Gail?
Let's just say 260, they could put down 10,000.
Well, that was aren't they 235?
Oh, these are 235, yes. I'm
You're thinking
gonna
about
do
other
other
ones, yeah.
lottery. But then you're gonna count that condo fee.
Correct. So at the rate that I'm calculating is 4.45. So principal and interest is 1,133.37 plus your taxes and insurance and the condo fee of 220. So if you add the condo fee, 220, 60 for insurance, and I'm gonna guess maybe 180 for taxes, I might be a little
Sure.
low, is 1,593.37 is your total payment.
So 1,500-ish.
Yep, just under 1,600, around 1,600.
1,600. That's on the 3-bedroom.
That's on the 3-bedroom,
That's
correct.
235. So the 2-bedroom will be a little bit less.
Right, so my price per thousand, what was calculated is $5.04. So it's still pretty inexpensive
Yeah.
with the rates as they've been a challenge. They're still pretty reasonable. When I bought my first condo, it was 6.5%. So these are pretty low.
And if you all are, thinking, obviously you're here because you want to buy a house. If you don't have housing payments right now, or if they aren't to the full tune of that close to 1,600 Eleanor referenced, something I guide a lot of my pre-approvals for is start trying to save that money now so you can get into the habit of it and understand where the rest of your cash flow is going to be affected. because sometimes there's a little bit of a payment shock and a lifestyle adjustment. So this is a really great time to start getting in the habit of having that payment. And it also helps you save up a little bit.
And then it doesn't appear as challenging, and then you try to continue to save some after if you can.
Mm-hmm.
The other options we have is once you have a mortgage pre-approval, there's other lotteries that come up from time to time, but also we have resales. I don't have many right now, but they do come up from time to time. So we have a ready to buy waiting list. So once you have your pre-approval, you probably want to get on our ready to buy waiting list too, which would be somebody that buys a condo at Crooked Meadow, and then they decide that they want to sell it in 5 years. That would be a resale, and those are all advertised and listed on our website. And we get in touch with the people on our ready to buy list as soon as we know that we're going to have an affordable housing resale. So once you get that pre-approval in your hand, make sure you also get on the ready to buy waiting list. I can't think of anyone else. Anyone else have any other? I wish everyone luck. I wish we had more units. Yeah, just go for it, give it a try and give a call. Is the ready to buy waitlist specific to each property? Kim said, no, it's not. We just send out notification, and if we get more than one application, then we have to have a lottery. So the ready to buy waitlist is just sort of there. Some people have been on it for 2 years. Some people are on it for 2 weeks and they just end up getting something. So it's just a good thing to have it, to get notification of something as soon as it comes on. And our website has everything all the time too. All of the listings are there, as soon as they come on, in all of our lotteries. So please check with us, call with questions. There's lots of us working on this, and we're happy to answer any questions you have and try and make sure that you get to be in the lottery, and then hope that you win. I don't see any more questions.
No, I think we're good. I think you covered everything. And everyone has that info up there. So again, just head to our website, hackoncapecod.org/lotteries. It will have piles of information. It'll have this recording in the next couple of days once I get it rendered. And then it'll have contact info for Gail or some, anytime we do have some more lotteries coming. So Gail is very busy. So definitely keep an eye out on that page, and you'll probably see advertisements on our social pages as well.
We just closed out the lottery into the eligibility for Kendall Lane. And I think we have a total of 16 applications for 3 houses. Although there was 150 people registered for the Zoom, and about 80 people started to apply, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller. But at the end of the day, that was how it ended up. So the odds are not bad. It's certainly, even though it seems like there's a lot of people and you might not have a chance, you got to go for it and give it a try.
Yeah, you definitely do. And I had a friend actually who got an affordable housing and property through the lottery a couple of years ago, and she was not in the, she was lower on the lottery list, and the people ahead of her ended up getting disqualified, bounced out for one reason or another, and she ended up getting the house after all, after being, somewhat low placed. So it is competitive, but there's definitely hope, and
Absolutely.
it's such a great service for the community, and I'm so excited to see so many of these this year you've been able to put forward.
I know, I wish we had more.
Good luck to you all. I know, I wish there was thousands of them.
We all do. Oh.
Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, I just
Thank you.
check quickly. Which lender has the portfolio program? Because the words were coming up, so I couldn't see who was speaking. So which lender has a portfolio program?
The Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod.
And technically MHP1, we put it in our portfolio.
Okay. Good
So
to know.
First Citizens or the Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod.
Okay.
And Veronica works off Cape and the South Shore. But you guys handle the South Shore, right?
We
Yeah.
do.
We do, all the way down to some Falmouth. I just got something that I'm doing on Nantucket, but that's the letting, but yeah, right down to Falmouth. So sometimes I do have first-time home buyers who need lenders that are on the other side of the bridge.
Great. Well, I'm glad you guys got to meet.
Kim asked if those are the only lenders. They are not our only lenders. We had asked, we have a lender list. We can,
That's in the application.
it's in the application and we can always, you can reach out to us if you'd like one tonight or something, we can send it over.
We like local banks, or credit unions, or just something not like an online thing that we don't really know who they are because they don't understand the deed restricted properties. I always say it's just like some troll under the bridge somewhere. They don't really understand how we do things here in different terms in Massachusetts. So the smaller local banks tend to understand the program.
Gail, can I quote you on that troll under the bridge? Because
You
I,
may.
I love it.
And I usually say in Minnesota somewhere.
And I will plug the locals, Eleanor and First Citizens, us at the Coop. We are entrenched in this community. We're here, we're giving back. We are all helping with the funding that makes these programs available. So I'm telling people, it's better to bank and work local with local folks who care about the community and who are reinvesting in the community that you're living in. You're not seeing that from those trolls under the bridge. They're just take, pay me my interest, see you later.
And they're on commission for volume too. So I look at them when I see the pre-approval and I question it when I see a Rocket Mortgage. I don't want to call them out, or Lending Tree, or some of the ones we see on TV. And I call them up with the pre-approval and I say, hey, did you know that this was deed restricted? Have you reviewed the deed rider? Have you? And they're like, no, can't do it. And they have these pre-approvals. They make their income is 40,000 and they have a pre-approval for 400,000. And I'm just like, wait a minute, something is not right here, because they just did it on their phone while they're driving, said, oh, I'll just get a pre-approval. That's not the right kind of pre-approval.
Mm-hmm. And Eleanor and I are going to run into you in the grocery store or out to eat. So
Yeah.
we don't
I was
want
gonna
you
say,
yelling
Charlotte,
at us. We
you-
don't want Gail yelling at us. So
Oh,
And Charlotte, you give back enough. You volunteered with us, or you've done our telethon or all of that. So she's definitely, she knows. Eleanor, I got to meet when we did, I think it was a lottery info session, the last one we did in person, right before weeks before the pandemic shut us down.
Yeah, First Citizens does a lot with HAC as well. Cape
Mhm.
Cod Cooperative, the Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, Cape Cod 5, Eastern, Rockland. There's a lot of,
Shamrock does, they
Dr.
run my
Shamrock.
team for big fix.
Yeah. And they're all on the lender list.
Yep, so we're happy to send that out, but it is on the application if you want to check it out on our website. And thank you everyone for joining, and all of those who came in to help Gail
Thank
with
you so much.
answering any questions.
Good luck, everybody.